guys, welcome back to my channel. For this week's video, I wanted to make another cake. I'm actually getting started a bit late. It's Rookie Tuesday, so hopefully I can get this out by the end of the week. I had previously done a Necronomicon cake and I thought this time I wanted to do something equally as creepy. Why don't we go with Cthulhu? If you don't know who Cthulhu is, it is a cosmic entity slash monster slash being that was here before mankind and created by H.P. Lovecraft in some of his many short stories. You might have seen his image before. If you haven't, I'll insert it here, but he's basically kind of this like octopus winged beast looking nightmare. And I'm pretty excited. I was a little nervous. I actually decided to do him because, so I'm pretty excited to make it. I had actually thought about doing a xenomorph because that's actually one of my favorite monsters of all time. But I thought I'd start with something easier, if that makes any sense. So come along with me on this cake making journey. I actually already made the cake sponge itself. I just didn't tape it because if you've ever made cake mix, it's pretty much that. Not a very super exciting process. I chose lemon because I just wasn't sure which flavor to make him. I don't know what flavor reflects best in a winged octopus beast. So we just went with lemon because I thought it'd be tasty. I'm going to then make the buttercream frosting. I'll just make it plain vanilla. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, for buttercream, the first thing you want to do is get 2 sticks of room temperature butter. And I always make the fatal mistake of not taking my butter out of the fridge. So I just pre-whipped the butter a bit, but now I'm gonna add 4.5 cups of sugar, which is kind of a lot. Maybe I'll do less. 3. Ooh, okay. To this powdery mix, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of oat milk, only because I don't have heavy cream on hand, and I have oat milk because I'm actually lactose. Also going to be adding 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 1, 2, and salt. Next up, I am going to cut the actual cake in half and then frost it. Oh boy. Okay, there we go. Let's actually put this on one of those spinny Lazy Susan twirly things to make it easier. Ta-da! Okay, I also forgot that I had one of these doohickeys. So I will be using that. Okay. Shit. Came out pretty crooked, but that's okay because we will be frosting and covering it in fondant anyways. I'm sure you can tell this is my second time doing this. shit. Ah, okay. And then lightly frost this entire guy so that the fondant sticks a bit better. Also, this is my rat, my Halloween rat that I still have out. Maybe I should let this frosting come to room temperature a bit because it's kind of proving to be a little hard to work with. Like, it's a little too stiff, if that makes any sense. So I'm gonna come right back to this, but in the meantime, I'll make the Rice Krispie treat first. I need to make that to actually shape Cthulhu on top because he has a big old octopus head. For the Rice Krispie treat, I actually found this recipe of making it, if you're gonna use it for decorating, like actually shaping the Krispie treat itself, because if you use, first thing I'm gonna do is microwave 4 cups of mini marshmallows. It actually only took like 30 seconds. So now I'm gonna get my Rice Krispie cereal and add in 6 cups of this to the mixture. Oh, fail. Mix this by hand. This is probably a really terrible idea. After much struggle, I finally have my Rice Krispie treat. So now I'm gonna try to shape him into an octopus-like head. And I think that's it. Like, I just want him to kind of have like that octopus shape in the back, and it kind of dips down to where his eyes are gonna be. So easy enough. Looks like nothing, but hopefully once I lay the fondant on it and shape it and design it, you can see where I'm going. Back to trying to crumb coat this cake. So, not perfect, but it's my first time, so please be gentle. He's so lopsided. I don't know why. I probably put the top on weird, but it is crumb coated, so I can go ahead and get started on rolling out the fondant. I have this brown fondant that I used previously for my Necronomicon cake. Still pretty malleable, so I'm gonna roll them out real thin and cover the cake with it. Okay, that took forever, but fondant is now fully rolled out. And I got my cake, which was probably not smart to do one-handed, but I will now lay this on top and trim off any excess. Real thin. Whoa! And I have more than enough. So I'm just gonna use this. And what I want to attempt to do is lay the fondant flat against the sponge. The pleats are a little tricky. I think the key is to not get ahead of myself and to be patient with the process, which I struggle with. Feels pretty good. So this time I'm really happy with how the fondant laid. Now I just need to practice on making even layered cakes. Okay. I'll put this excess trim away so that it doesn't dry out before I also got a package of some green fondant. He's usually portrayed as green. It's not my first choice. It's very, you probably can't see that. It's very Kelly green. Happy St. Patty's. I put his head in the fridge so it could set a little better. But I'm just gonna put this guy on top. I think I'm gonna start with doing the tentacles first and then build my way up and around, so I can kind of, like, there's a lot of detail going around that's going to be like right here, and I kind of want to build off of that instead of leaving it to the end. I also want to make sure to, like, I'll lay down the fondant rope, but I want to make sure that it looks cohesive and that it's not just sitting on top of the base like how it looks here. So I'll just try to like blend it in. The one thing about fondant is that it doesn't like to blend into each other very much, so I'm gonna have to go in there pretty quickly. It's also just a good reminder to myself that I have to go for projects where texture is a big player. I'm kind of ADD while I'm doing this, but I realized that I kind of like this like ridged look on the tentacles, so I'm gonna make sure to do that throughout the entire, like that'll be the pattern that I'm kind of shooting for, where it's very rigid. This was day 2 of the completed work, so I had finished all of his tentacles pretty much, and I also went in and did a little bit of brown detailing. This was done off camera, of course, but decided to continue with that work. Also, if you notice at the back of his head, I didn't get to cover it completely with fondant. At the time, I thought I'd be able to cover it with his wings, but you'll see later what happens. But I went in and added some extra eyeballs because I loved that kind of like Matrix Sentinel-y look, and also decided to make him more tentacle like appendages or details. So I kind of wanted to give him like little wormy hooks instead of suction cups that octopus usually have. I thought it would just really make the figure actually pop, and I sure love detailing. I mean, if it's time consuming, I have no issue with that. I can go on forever. So I wasn't the happiest with how it turned out. Kind of like fur, probably because it was brown, but despite that, I still forged on and even gave him some little elephant-like ears and included some ribbed detailing, kind of reminiscent of like a vertebrae or what you'd see on a xenomorph, if you ever look at the detailing of that. For his cranium, I realized I didn't give myself enough room to really go in with like dynamic sculpting. I kind of had to do like little intricacies at top. I decided to do warts and vein-like markings. Now came the time to actually create and attach his wings. I had some wreath wire on hand. Little did I know they would be my doom. I thought fondant does dry eventually. If it dries out too much, it becomes crumbly and hard to work with. But I thought, hey, it hardens, that's great. That'll give me some structure to work with. So at this point, I was really bent on having his wings start from the back of his head and kind of fold over to the front where his tentacles begin. I also added this gum text powder, which I was told would give the fondant more rigidity when it dries. To be honest, I didn't see much of a difference, but maybe I was applying it wrong, and maybe I read the description wrong, but it didn't really work out for me. But I'm also very stubborn, so I probably didn't read the directions correctly anyways. I began to lay the rest of his wings after his first two wing appendages had dried. I thought I could just lay the fondant on top and then sculpt from there, but then I realized I probably need to do this on a flat surface first, get the details in, and then attach. I thought that this would be less physical work done on a very like frail piece, like the frailest piece of the cake. And so at this point, I was pretty stoked with how it was looking. Even if you look at it, like I probably shouldn't have even tried to do a bigger wing than that, maybe just slightly bigger, but I wanted ultra drama. You can see how the wing kind of curves forward and almost hugs the rest of his face, which is why I didn't think of doing that much detailing on the rest of his face. But alas, it was a failure. I was trying to use that Rice Krispie box to help it stay up and dry in place, but in the end, it was just too heavy for the wreath wire. That was my first big fail with this cake. The wings are now a ball of fondant in my hands, but I realized the issue was that I was trying to build a structure with materials that weren't sturdy enough. So I'm gonna have to create more of like a cage-like structure so that it can actually support how heavy and malleable the fondant is. Also, I don't have enough fondant for the wings, so we're gonna go out to Michael's, hopefully tomorrow, to pick some up. But yeah, first setback, trying not to be too upset about it. At Michael's, I had gotten some Halloween towels, some mugs that I thought would be good to do like a theme night with, on top of my fondant, some jewelry wire, as well as this like floral wreath wire that was much sturdier than what I was previously using. And I also sketched out a shape to use as a reference. So here I am attempting to make somewhat of a cage, just trying to incorporate as much structure as I could. Bamboo skewers are probably not the best idea, but I thought, you know, Cake Boss uses dowels, I'll use bamboo skewers. Again, I decided to work on a flat surface first and really sculpt out the entire wing before I would actually attach it to Cthulhu. I even figured out what kind of detailing I would have wanted. I went again for that ribbed look, that ribbed xenomorph look. And I wasn't too careful, but I just really wanted to get it done and over with. This was probably the tail end of the cake working days. And so when I hold it up, it looks cool, but it was too heavy and it was yet another fail. And so I decided to scrap the whole thing and just go in with a edible paint marker and give the guy some depth. And there he is. He is wingless. I kind of made up a story where he's just hatched, if Cthulhu has ever hatched, and has yet to sprout his wings. So I will say that I do like the overall look of him, but I am glad he is over with, and I'm just ready to pretty much dig into him. Okay, I'm a little nervous about how to cut this guy. And there it is, actual cake. La-di-da. Okay, gotta try it now. It is 7:38 a.m. on a Tuesday, but we're gonna go ahead and try this cake. So it was a lemon cake with just a regular old buttercream frosting, and you can see his tentacles that I sadly chopped off. we're gonna move this fondant out of the way because I think fondant is gross. So here goes one of his knuckles. All right. It's really moist. Like, it's not so fluffy, but it's good. I also like how I did a much thinner layer of fondant this time, and that crumb coating, that buttercream crumb coating that I applied before putting on the fondant really helped. So follow directions when you're making cakes. That's my tip. Don't follow my directions. Follow directions that are posted online by actual professionals. Yeah. So all in all, I was a little disappointed with how it turned out, especially with the wings. I struggled a lot. I mean, I attempted it twice and it failed miserably twice, and I was like, okay, that's it. I don't understand enough about the structural integrity of my cake and what I can do to amend it going forward, so I should probably research a little better instead of just winging it, which is how I approach most things in life, and that's my bad. I'm not happiest with the color either. I thought I would have more time to be able to paint this dude, but I really don't want to be decorating cake for like 2 weeks because that seems kind of gross. I want to keep it under a week at least, and I just ran out of time. But this is good practice for more technical challenges. This is my first attempt. The Necronomicon was way simpler in terms of what I had to do to make it look like the book. You know, it's just a rectangle, and this was a more 3D sculpture, and I used Rice Krispie for the first time, so I guess I have to pat myself on the back for that. But anyways, I'm kind of glad that that's over with. This next video I'll be doing is just focusing on Thanksgiving dishes that I'm going to prepare. So nothing too complicated, nothing too sculptural, just good old-fashioned food. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to bring you better content moving forward. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that little bell, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.